Welcome to Tech Pundit Lab. In this tutorial, I will be taking you through authentication and authorization using NextAuth version 5. As of the time of recording this video, NextAuth version 5 is the latest. So let's get started. So here you get to see the demo of the application that we are building. A user that has been registered can log in. If the user decides to visit the auth page, like they are trying to log in, okay, or sign up once they are already got authenticated, I will not be allowed to visit that page. They are rerouted, okay? And at the same time, if they try to visit a page where only authenticated user is allowed to visit, they are not allowed to do so. They will be sent back to login instead. And in this particular video, a user can equally sign up, okay, for a new account too, okay, a secure password. And we have this facility, okay, that can toggle between hide and show of password, okay, and this person can register. Okay, that was a successful registration. Let's try the user to log in. Test2, okay, at gmail.com, the password that we used. Okay, it is. Let's log in this person. You see, person has been authenticated. Okay, so let's log out and use social login to complete our demo. Okay, so let me act like I want to register. And now I want to sign up. Okay, with a social media account. I'm using one of my Gmail accounts. Boom. And that's all. So we have successfully got authenticated. Let's go into the full tutorial. Good day and welcome to this NextAuth version 5 tutorial. In this tutorial, I am going to walk you through how you can use NextAuth version 5 with Next.js application. This same tutorial can be applied to a Node.js server or Express-based server application. So to get started, since we are working with a Next.js application, we visited nextjs.org and I want to spin up a new Next.js application. So I've opened my terminal, copied and pasted the command line into the command line. So we are spinning up a new Next.js application. This is where we give a name. So I would name it NextAuth. Okay, simply name it NextAuth. Do you want to use TypeScript? No. ESLint, Tailwind CSS. Would you like this? No. Actually, all app router, yes. Turbo, yes. No to this. Okay, so let's wait until the application is ready. So our Next.js application is done installing. So what we want to do next is to cd into the project. And we open it up in our code, Visual Studio Code. So let me bring out my terminal. Let me close this. So this is our NextAuth application, right? I want to npm run it. I want to run dev. If I go to my package.json, let's see what we have. This is our barebone Next.js application version 15.5.2. Okay, it's using React 19, React Router DOM, React DOM 19.1 rather, and React 19.1. Okay, everything is the latest, and we are compiling. The build is done by TurboPack, which is the latest. Okay. Without further ado, before we continue with our next step of installation, let's run our, oh, sorry, my cursor was still active there. Yeah, the application is done compiling. Let's visit and check our barebone Nest application. Okay, so this is our Next.js application. So to work with our authorization, we need to create some routes and some pages in our Next.js application. Okay. So firstly, let me go to where we do everything. Here will be inside of our hub, at least for now. Okay, we have our layout.js file, and we have our page.js file. So I want to clean up. On this. Let me just put in H tag. So we are. Oh, this is cool. So let's check the application. So we have what we have here. Maybe let me quickly do something like have the time our item center would have basis to organize things. Okay, so this is our Next.js app. Okay, so before we continue any further, let's go and install other dependencies that are necessary for this. You can see what we have as of now. You can see what we have. Everything is just BA, React, and Next. Now we go to NextAuth, right? NextAuth. So we are going to be installing this. This NextAuth is at beta, okay? But it's quite stable, really. I've been using it for quite some time now. And like I said earlier, NextAuth V5 is the same as Auth 5. They are changing the name to Auth 5. And look at the benefits. Secure your applications with Auth 5. You know, why choose Auth 5? Look at all the benefits here. You can visit the website auth5.net to see. Otherwise, these are the supported protocols and standards. OAuth 2.0, .id Connect, SAM 2.0, JWT tokens. And in this tutorial, we'll be working with JWT token. That's JSON Web Token. And what about the integration? You can integrate it seamlessly with and connect with these popular providers and platforms out of the box, like Microsoft Entra, Google Identity, Facebook, Login, LinkedIn, Okta, GitHub, name it. Quite a number of integrations that can be made with it. So without further ado, let's go back. So we are installing our okay. So now that we are done with installation of the NextAuth, the next step is for us to install the adapters. Okay. NextAuth version 5 will work with several adapters. If you are interested in checking them out, this is the adapter page. But for this tutorial, we are going to be working with Prisma adapter. Okay, Prisma is the ORM that we are going to use in this tutorial. Remember that authentication and authorization requires that users' credentials are stored in the database, right? For us, in this tutorial, I will be using Prisma ORM. So for me to do this, I will simply copy this. So now I want to install this. We are installing auth Prisma adapter. The reason being this, it used to be NextAuth, Okay, but NextAuth is actually moving away from Next.js application dependent only. Okay, that's why so they are changing to just general auth. So our Prisma adapter has been installed successfully. Let's check it out in our package.json file. Yeah, this is our Prisma adapter. Good. Okay, now the next thing for us is to create 3 files. We'll be creating next.config.js, auth.js, and middleware.js files. So the first file we are creating will be this one, but it's not going to be TS, it's going to be JS because we are not using TypeScript. I can just simply copy and duplicate this and change it. So it's going to be auth.js. Then the last one is going to be middleware.js. The middleware sits between your server and your front-end application. So whatever you configure the middleware to be, that thing will kick into action, you know, before information is rendered to the UI. Okay, it communicates, it stands between the backend and the front end in your application. Okay, so right now, this is our auth config. These are bare bones, so we come to our auth config. We want to simply paste this. The file, this is the file that we just copied. I think something isn't right. Oh, okay. No, I'm going to make some modifications to this, you know, to make our application work, okay, in the best way I understand it. So for now, let's have it as it is. Okay, then let's go for the auth.js. This one is typical of TS. Okay. Our auth file is this, and our middleware.js file. Let's glue for our middleware. This is the middleware. Just to kind of have a bare beginning. Okay. So now that we are done with creating these 3 important files, the next important file that we need to create, okay, is our API auth route handler. Okay, as a result of that, in here in our app, I'm going to create API folder. Inside of our API folder, we are going to put it in auth folder as well, and we are going to create inside of this curly bracket, square bracket, triple dot that we like a spread operation, next-auth. Next-auth is going to be written together as like so. Then we create our route. So this is our route. If you are using TypeScript, it is TS, but we are using JavaScript, so it is TS. So now we have this API auth, next-auth, then our route. If I click here, I should have my route.js file. Okay, when you check out in the documentation, this is it. And inside of that, we will be putting this. Okay, for now, let's just put everything. Otherwise, I might be destructuring it in a different way, but for now, let me put it. And we might just equally use it as us. So let's just pull this file for now. Okay, here and there, some things may be breaking because to knit things up properly. Okay, now that we have this one, remember, okay, and in here you see that we'll be importing Prisma adapter from Prisma adapter. We have already installed that, and Prisma client. Okay. Okay, so remember that we are working with Prisma adapter that helps us to communicate with our database. and we don't yet have any database. So we will be working with MongoDB database. Okay, that's said. We will need to create Prisma, the root folder of our application. We are going to be creating Prisma folder, and we will be creating schema.prisma file. Okay, so now let me see. Yeah, it's created in the proper way. Our prisma.schema is now going to be here, and we are going to start with this bare beginning. Okay, this is our prisma.schema. So our user, we have a name, email, and email verified in date time. We have the password and the image. Okay. Remember, we will be working with both credential users, those who will be registering into our application with their email and password. Okay, and we'll have those that will register through social media. Okay, through social media. And through social media will be registered under account, okay, and as well as the user. So if a user decides to sign up to your application with any of those social media account that is supported by by NextAuth, and that is equally supported by your own application. So here we'll be using Google only in this tutorial. Okay, so this is the necessary model, okay, to managing our authentication with NextAuth application. Okay, if anything breaks, then we come back here to fix it. For now, this is what we have. I'm going to create a link where you can have access to these code, snippets of fine. Okay, but to make our model communicate, we need to be communicating to a particular database. So to make that happen, we need to tell our Prisma file how to connect to the database. Okay. So to make that happen, all we need to do is just put in this line of code. Otherwise, we're using MongoDB. And so we are going to pick the URL, that's the URL string from the environment variable, okay? And so our database URL is going to be created in the .env.local file. We can equally put it in .env without the local, right? So this is where we are going to put our our database string, right? And then we are going to generate clients, and the provider is going to be Prisma Client.js. Remember, that's why we installed that earlier on. I decided to, since we are MongoDB specific, we don't need CUID. I just now mapping ID, okay, to the default underscore ID of MongoDB object. Okay, so, and that has been replicated on the other part of the models. Okay, so this is what our schema is for now. If anything would change when our application breaks, then we'll come back to fix it. Otherwise, I think this should work. Now we have all of this set up. So all I need now is to get to assign the actual connecting string to the database URL. Let me do that now. Go to account, right? account.mongodb.com. I want to create the database. Okay, what I have already, I have working database there for a different application. Let's just create one for this. Okay, so these are the collections that we currently have. So let me just create a database. This database next, okay, NextAuth V5, and then collection name. Okay, let me click on this. Okay, now that we have our NextAuth database, we can come here, database access. Here we have this user, right? We can add a new database user. We just want to create a new user for that particular database, right? And user, let's say NextAuth. NextAuth user. Okay, let me simply generate a password. This password, I will save it somewhere. Okay. I'll simply save it in my URL, in my environment variable for now. Let me just copy paste it. I know what this is. Okay. So that's cool. Let's add this user. Okay. I think the user must have been added. You must choose at least one role or privilege. Okay, what am I missing? We are going to be connecting through a password, right? Okay, building role. Okay, read write to any database. Only read any database. We want to read and write. Okay. Okay, so this is now the details that we will use. Okay. The user is NextAuth_user, and we have the password saved. Okay. I'm coming here. I want to connect. We will be connecting through here. This is what is important. Our username will come here, the password will come here, and we get this from the cluster. So I've simply copied this. So now this is the URL that we are going to paste here. Okay. And after that, you see this password. I am going to copy and put it in the password field. Okay, without the angle bracket, right? And in here is where we will put our database username. And you remember the database username? It's a next-auth_user. Okay, so this is going to be used. We may come here to confirm this is a databases. This one is sample. This is NextAuth V5. This is for another project, which is an inventory system. Okay, so we have this, and so as with this, we will be able to communicate to that database. We've supplied the user the password and the name of the database. So our connection string is now ready. Okay. So our connection string is ready, right? Which is this database is already what we have we have fulfilled the righteousness of that to make it work the way we want it. Copy the command. So I'm going to our project and hit enter. Yes, it's been installed. You see, now it's installed. So now that we are done with our connection string to our database, we can move on. So I have simply updated our auth.config.js file, and we will be importing Google from NextAuth providers Google by installing NextAuth package. We already have access to all the providers that are supported, and we equally have access to the credential way of creating authentication. So we are simply saying import Google from NextAuth providers Google, import credentials from NextAuth providers /credentials. Okay, then we will be creating a schema, login schema file for validation. This I have not created. I'll create it shortly. Then in our Prisma, we will be importing Prisma, okay, from Prisma /Prisma. Okay, I will check. Looks like I have not even created this as well. Okay, so then we'll be importing bcrypt, okay, from bcrypt.js. We have not installed bcrypt.js. Let's simply install it. npm I for install bcrypt.js. And since we are going to be using Zod as well, our login schema is going to use Zod, which is a validation library. Let's install those two. Let's install those two. Okay, so while that is being installed, let's continue with our code. So on here in our auth.config file, we are simply defining a function. This is a variable actually. Okay, we're declaring this variable and we export it. Okay, it's then going to be used as a function later on in our auth, in our auth.js file. So let's see what we have in this code. So we say const auth config equals this object. Is a huge object. Inside of the object, we define trust host. You see all these parts that I have commented out are needed only when we are on live server. So every line that is commented out are only necessary for your OAuth to work when you are on a live server. Okay, but as for now, because we are working locally, those commented parts are not necessary. Actually, if we enable them, they are going to break our code. So it's needed to be commented out, but I put them here for production ready application, and we simply just uncomment them when you are using online. Okay, so it's inside of our auth config, we have this objects, okay, and inside of it we have several other variables, okay, that are assigned to different objects. You see our cookies here, we are setting the session token and we are assigning it to this object, and this object take options and another object, okay, and inside of this we are declaring this HTTP only true, which it means is only going to allow an HTTP application to work. You see, but doesn't mean it will not allow HTTPS, but it just means it must follow this hypertext protocol. Okay, Same sites, we have to declare this to prevent just any application from accessing the API. And the path is set to the home page. And all these configurations are just necessary to make this part of the cookies to be set to your application. Okay, then on the providers, for instance, if we would, for instance, be supporting GitHub, for instance, we will just duplicate this and have our GitHub here. And here we are going to have client ID. We are going to supply GitHub ID. You just set up the credentials, okay, as prescribed by the platform. And what you would do is you would equally import GitHub from NextAuth providers /GitHub. That's what you do, okay? But in this case, when we are not supporting GitHub, at least in this, maybe in future video, I can spin it up to use GitHub as well. We are limiting it to Google, right? And the next one is the credentials. These credentials is what we use to handle a user that register with their email, apart from other than using the social login of Gmail to access the application. So what is going on here is we just use our login schema that we created, or that we are going to create with Zod, and is going to give us access to safe pass, which is coming from Zod. Okay, so we'll be using this method and sending in the passing in our credentials. Okay, so from the UI, from the front end, we are going to have access to the data that the user has sent through, right? And we take in here validate data. We assign it to validate data. So we check against it. If it's successful, if it's not successful, okay, then we return null. Otherwise, we structure the email and the password. Those are the two fields that we need to destructure from what is coming from the front end. And we then check it against the value that we already stored. And we take the data, okay, the data that is coming from the value that we already got from here. Then it is time for us to create the user. We await prisma.user. Then we first check the database, whether that user email is already in existence. If it does, we find it, we store it against the user, right? Then we check whether the user or the user email or the user password is not what is expected. If any of these is truthy, that is false, right? Then we return null. Okay. Otherwise, we then construct, check our password match, right? We await bcrypt. Now we are communicating with the database. We use our bcrypt that we have, we just installed. Let's check. We just installed bcrypt.js and Zod, right? Those are installed successfully. So we make use of our bcrypt. Okay. Then we compare password that is supplied by the user. And you check that against the one that is existing in the database. And if there is a match, okay, if this one is successful, we return the user. Otherwise, it will nullify the user. So this is how our auth config file. This is all that it is to read. Okay. Next is our auth file, right? In our auth file, we are importing all of these that are necessary for us to work. Now we are importing this auth config that was exported here, right? You see, export default auth config that was created here. Okay. And we come here. Then we are importing it here. We want to use it here. Okay, and into our application. And so we will be exporting this as a constant variable. So let me open it up. Here, these are the things we will be exporting. We'll be exporting auth that would later be used as a function in our application. We'll be importing handlers, and we'll be importing sign in and sign out. Okay, all of these are now being destructured from NextAuth, the NextAuth that we installed starting. You see, we are getting NextAuth from NextAuth, and simply this is where we are now declaring everything that we need. This object is used. We tell what adapter we are using. It's a Prisma adapter. Let's check it out. You see, we have already imported it from Prisma adapter. And we declare the session. What type of session we want to use? Strategy of JWT, JSON Web Token. All of these are made available through NextAuth, okay, that we originally installed. Then for us to secure our application, the meat is coming from the secret. Okay, you are going to be encrypting and decrypting your JSON Web Token with NextAuth secret. And when we are working with Next.js application, the name of the variable that our NextAuth is expecting is next-auth. Okay, it must start with next-auth, then underscore secret. Otherwise, it doesn't have to be secret. It can be under anything. But next-auth is very, very important. And here it must be the secret. All right. So, and this will be coming from our environment variable. So we can declare that even now. We can put it here and put some secret. We are going to generate a proper secret here. Okay, just let's continue. Where do I go? Okay. Yeah, I was coming from here. So from after this, then we use spread operation to spread our auth config. Where is auth config coming from? You see, it was imported from our auth config file. So we use spread operation or operator, okay, to spread it out. I mean to assign it inside of our object here, like every of these variables. The next thing is our callback function. You see, then we do a callback function and we assign this object into it. And these are the three important async functions that we need inside of our callback object. Number one is async signing, JWT, and session. If we come back here, we will see that we have that. We have the session, right? We have the session, we have those guys. We have the signing, okay, that we already imported. And we have the session, which was already declared here. Okay, so we async we come here. Let's check our signing async. Our signing function is then we take these two props, the user and the account. Remember, in our model, we have user model, we have account model. We check our account and we use optional chaining. We check the provider. So if the account provider is not equal to credentials, this is now happening during the process of signing. Remember. So if account.provider is not equal to, Okay, this is simply telling us that it is not equal to credentials. It means we have to return true, which means the user that is signing in is using a social media account, is using Google to be specific in this application, since we are only supporting Google. Otherwise, it goes for all the other ones. We return it to be true. It means is an account. You see, how do I put it? Is a social sign up or login user. So in our model, then our account model would then be used to store the details of this sign up user. Equally, it's going to be stored in the user itself. We shall be checking this when we are there, when we do the application, we try to do some test account. So then we continue. So if if not user.id, that is if it is false, we return false. Otherwise, we then check if the user, the person that is trying to sign in now, okay, is already existing in our database. If the person is already existing in the database, we await get user by ID, user.id. And by the way, this EPA function is not yet created. I'm going to create them shortly. Just know that we are using it here. So if is not existing user dot verify email, this line of code is simply checking that maybe it's an existing user, but the email is yet to be verified. We return false. You can log in until that is done, right? Then we skip out of the if condition, then we return true. That is, all of these are passed. Are you getting it? So that is what we are actually doing here. And the next thing is we go to our async JWT. Is taking here, this one is taking token and user, right? We are taking the token that is generated by JSON Web Token and against that particular user. So if user token.id is equals to user.id, that is what is happening here is that there is user that is found in the database, and this user is trying to access the application. If that is true, then take that user, the ID of that user, assign it to token ID, because definitely JWT has generated an ID appended to that user during the process of login. And this is new each time a user logs in or gets authenticated. So this will now be the token that is going to be accessible. Okay, so then here we check if we check the token.i.sub and we return the token. If not token.sub, we return the token. That is to say, now we are checking each of the values, okay, that can be accessible through a user that has been authenticated. Then we are getting the existing user, right? We are getting user by ID. We are using the token.sub as an argument here. The argument is passed into our get user by ID, which is an helper function, customly made, yet to be made though. So if existing or if not existing user, we are on line 36 now, we return the token. It's not an existing user, we are returning the token because it is now, this person is now simply signing in with a new account. So we declare a variable existing account, right? We await get account by ID, again, an helper function that will be created shortly. So then we supply existing user.id as an argument to that function. Okay. Then we run through each of these. We are simply checking token if the token is OAuth, because some okay, if token is we are checking the OAuth that is already made available in the token when the token is generated. So we are checking to see. Then we go to token.name, existing user.name, email, image, and the row. So all of these existing user would make these values available to these variables. Then we return the token at the end of it all. So that is what we are achieving with our async JWT. And on the final lap here, we are checking the session, the token, and the session, right? Those are the parameters that are available to our section method, right? Or function. So we're returning the session. If the session is present, like we should have from above, we simply put it here with a spread operator. Otherwise, we create, we add into it another user object, right? Where we throw in the session user, then the ID will be token.sub. Okay. Then we say our is auth. We take the token of is auth that is already available. Then we take the role of this user. And by the way, let me check, did I we check that from the Prisma. Beg your pardon, my mouse seems to be okay. Let me confirm, did I? Okay, we don't have a row. We didn't declare role in our schema. So we can simply put, role. And the row is gonna be string. Should we make it optional? Otherwise, for formatting sake, and come here. But maybe what we would do is we assign a default row. Every user is a user. Every account is a user, except otherwise stated. We'll see what happened with that later. But for now, let's just have it. So we take a role. The role of the person, we append it with this row of variable, the email and the name. So this will simply make all of these details available into the session. Okay, into the session object in our application whenever a user is authenticated. And that is what we are going to use to either prevent, allow, or disallow the user from a successful sign up or login from the application. So that is our Auth.js explanation. If there is any concern that you have, let us know in the comment section below so that it can be tackled within the community. Okay. Now, let's now go create these helper functions, right? Let's go and create this. We'll be creating that inside of data in index.js file. Let me copy it here. Okay, let me use Ctrl C. Okay, so I have this as this, right? Let me create it inside of data because we use data / index.js. So this is our data, right? That needs to, where we need to create these two helper functions. So these are the simple helper functions that we were using in the Auth.js file earlier on. So we declare this variable get user by ID as an async function. Then we pass in these params of ID. So we use a try catch block. If there is any error, we return the error and we return null. Otherwise, we then declare a user and we await, okay, prisma.user.findUnique, and we then check through this condition where, okay, this ID, whatever ID that is passed in here as an argument in the usage, okay, where that ID corresponds with the user in the database, then we return that user. If there is no user find corresponding with this ID, we return null. So which means no user will be existing by that ID. Okay. And since it's an async function, we can await Prisma to do its job. And this user is the model name. Is the model is. Okay. And that's fine. Then we go for the other helper function, get account by ID. The param that we are expecting will be user ID, right? So, and we are using a checking through our account model in the Prisma model. Our account model, yes, in the Prisma model, right? We are checking whatever that a user has supplied as the user ID, we are checking that ID. Okay, we are checking through our account model where that ID is corresponding with any of the accounts. If one is found, it has to be one, right? If one is found, we return the account, otherwise we'll catch the error. That's how this is being taken care of. The next thing is, if I go back here, didn't we were using, okay, our login schema now. Now it's time for us to create our login schema using Zod. So since we will be importing from, login schema from this folder, it must mean that we have an index file inside of there. So schemas, right, should come here to the root of our application and create schemas/index.js. Let's see whether the schemas is created in the root folder. Yes. Where is it used? The root folder. Schemas index. Okay. Now this is now where we declare our. This is now where we declare our Zod. Okay. So the first thing is to import everything importable from Zod using this asterisk. Import asterisk as Z, okay, from Zod. We remember we installed this package. Okay. So, and in our Zod, let me focus on the login schema first. Okay, we are simply, let me save this. So we are simply will be exporting this login schema. Okay, and it's equals to Z, which is imported here, dot object. And inside of our object, okay, is where we put these. Inside of the object, we put in another object where we wrap in all the fields. And these are the fields that we want to check through. When somebody is logging in, we want to check against the email that is supplied and the password, right? And we check whether the email is a string. We check whether it passes email validation provided by Zod. And we then show the appropriate, we assign appropriate message according to what happened. And our simple validation for password will be to check whether it's a string and to check against the minimum characters. If in your application you want something more sophisticated, like you want some letters, you want a mix of uppercase number or characters, that can be implemented. You just need to check out the Zod documentation for that. Otherwise, here we are keeping it simple. We want to make sure that the password is at least minimum of 6 characters. Okay, there is a max object that can be used as well, where you prevent it from getting to a certain length. That will be used in cases where you are writing a blog, or maybe not a blog is the appropriate thing, maybe a message box where you simply want to limit the number of characters in terms of word or yes that a user sends. So, but here we are simply using this. So, incorrect password or credentials. Okay, so we use the same way, okay, to declare our forget password schema. All of the schemas, you just check through. It's very simple and straightforward to use. And our reset password schema that is going to be equally used later. You just simply check. We check whether there's token and the token is string, and whether the new password is there. Check against your own rule, our own rules. Okay, yes. So it is then imported here from schemas. Yes. So with this, our application should work. If there is any problem, that can be fixed later. And remember, we still need to generate our Google Auth secret and password. So checking our application, I can see now here that there is a problem with our middleware. Okay, that needs to be fixed. It's coming from here. We're supposed to pass in our next. Okay. So after I change some few things in the middleware file, our application is now requesting for the must pass secret into JWT. So for this, let me generate a NextAuth secret with a command. Let's see what this. Okay. So here is the command that I use to generate it in my. I use OpenSSL. Okay. Of base 64. So simply, I've generated it, and I can go to my env variable. Is our env variable? Where is that guy hiding? If I can find it here, it simply means I mistakenly created it somewhere else. Okay, it was created in the app. Let me see. Created in the app folder. We're in the right project. What's called? Where is it? Where is our env? Made reference to read several times. Okay, it's here, but why can't I find it? Oh, inside of Prisma. Okay, it was created in a wrong folder. Anyway, for now, let me put in this. However, let me move it out. Okay, so this is our next secret that was generated. So, then Here we come to this line. We are importing next URL and cookies. We are destructuring that from the request body, getting it from the request body, okay? That is sent here through the middleware function. And we are getting the next and the path name from the next URL path name. Okay, remember we imported get token from NextAuth, JWT. So if path name starts with API/API, any path name, okay, in our URL, for instance, this is just the home page. This is like as good as this. So if anything should start like this is not going to be available because it's not available in this application. Anything that starts with /API, or if the path name starts with /_next, we return next. We allow the application to run because we don't want the middleware to disturb when it's an API or it's next. It means these ones must be coming from our static folder. Okay? And static file, as the case may be anyway. So we proceed. We get a token. Okay, we assign a token here. We await get token. We pass in the request body, that is the request object that is coming from the request body, and we then assign the secret. We want to decode the JWT with the secret, and this secret is coming from our next-auth secret. Okay, that we have defined here. So it's going to supply this value, okay, to decode our JWT token. After that has been done, we declare a variable to check whether to store the login state or status of the user. Into this is logged in, and we assign the status. If the token is present, then the login is true. If the token is not present, the login is false. That is why we have this double asterisk exclamation. So in JavaScript, it's simply setting it to Boolean, true or false. Perhaps so it is so if token present, it is true. If it is not present, it is false. So then the status of login will be set here. Okay, here we redirect users from auth route to and home to dashboard. So what we are trying to achieve here is, if a user is already authenticated, that is, they are logged in, okay, they should be prevented from visiting auth login page again or sign up page again. It doesn't make sense for a user who is currently logged in to still go as if they want to register. If they need to do that, they must log out. Then we know that the system assume this is another user. Okay. So is auth route, that is to say, we are checking whether the route that is being visited slash with /auth. If it starts with /auth, we just save it against is auth route. If it is public route, that is when it is just home, is public route. So we are just, now we have three variables that will be used in determining which route is visited at a particular time. Then we'll declare is dashboard route. You see, dashboard route is that route that can only be visited by login users. Okay, and that one is determined by if it starts with is dashboard. And by the way, this depends on your application. This is not always true. You may not route every login user to dashboard, but this is an example sake. So if it's a dashboard route, then it must start with /dashboard. If it starts with this, it must be a dashboard route. So we have those variables 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? We have the is login, is auth route, is public home, is dashboard route. Then that we have all these variables, we then check if is logged in. Remember, Is login will be falsy if the person is not logged in. If it's logged in, it means the token is present. So its login is set to truthy. Okay. So if it's login and is auth routes or is public home. Remember, notice that this condition is being set in the inside of this bracket, right? So is login definitely is there, and we are checking whether is auth route or is public home. If any of those two conditions exist, we don't want to allow this user who is logging in to access his auth route or his public home. They must be sent back to the last route visited. Our cookies.get route, our last route visited is coming from our NextAuth provision using the AW3 token and order to decode that. So we assign the last visited, last route, okay, to last visited. So if last visited, that is to say, it is now true, right? Last visited is truthy because we get this from here, right? Then we return and redirect new URL to last visited. And we just send the request URL in. We pass it in. So it can understand which route was visited last. Otherwise, if it's logged in, okay, if it's logged in, access a route which the application allows only an authenticated user to visit. So they must be sent back to where they should start from. NextAuth, so that I send them to the login page. And that is all that we have here. Otherwise, we take the response cookies, we check the last route, put in the path name, and we send in an object of path home HTTP through the same site, like earlier explained. Okay, so return next response.next. You see, that is what our middleware is doing, is acting at here. It just send it to the next command. So, and that concludes our middleware. Whether anything will break when we start testing and we create the route, the dashboard route, and the login interface and all that, we'll be able to fix whatever issue that we have here. Right now, we don't have anywhere to test. Okay, so I will be creating the some route pages, okay? Some route and pages. So inside of the app, I need to create, let's simply call it dashboard. Dashboard is going to be, okay, inside of the dashboard, I want to create, firstly, maybe let me just say home dot, oh, sorry, page. No, I was correct. Okay, so inside of my dashboard, I want to create another, folder, right? Okay, then inside of that, we have page.jsx. Okay, that's one. Another one inside of here, let's just say that one is home, right? This one, let's make it about page. Sorry, page dot, okay, JSX. Let's see. Okay, so already inside of the dashboard, I have about and I have home. Ideally, about will not be inside of the dashboard. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. But this is the landing page. I will see what we take out and what remains. Okay, but for now, let me then do inside of here, RAFCE, simple page of home, right? dashboard home. Okay. So we will know when a user is logging, we are going to see this dashboard home. Cool. Okay. Okay, let's now create our Google client and secret. I'm coming here to console.cloud.google.com. Okay, I have a project that is already created, and we want to create another one. Project already running, existing, so I want to create a project. NextAuth V5. Organization is not necessary. Now Vim project system. Okay, it's creating it. Let's wait until it's done creating. Okay, it's done creating. Let me select it. Okay, just now. Select project. Okay, now I'm working. You are working with NextAuth version 5. Okay. Okay, so let's go to the dashboard of this. You go into the dashboard. All we are interested in is to get this Google secret and password. Okay, so why the application is selected, API and services, credentials, yes. Okay, we don't have, then we remember to configure what consent screen with the information of your application. Okay, next. It's not configured yet. Let's click to configure it. The app information is NextAuth. Okay, V5. That's the app name. Okay, what email for my account name? Okay. Here we want to choose, so we go for this external, right? And we click on next. Contact information, email address. Next. I agreed, and we continue. We create it. Okay. Yes, you haven't configured any OAuth clients to this project. Yes, this is where we then create our OAuth. Application type is web application. Okay, web clients name. Okay, this name and the name of your OAuth 2.0 client. NextAuth V5. Just use the same name. This is where we put, since we are still on localhost, right? HTTP localhost 3000. Okay, so this we can click on add URI if you want to add more. Okay, let's try, like, say HTTP localhost with mapping to port 3001 and see it's accepting it, so which is cool. This can become handy when you are working with two different local host projects at the same time, because one will be port to 300, the next will be port to 301 by default. So then this is where we use our authorized redirect URI. This one is very important. Without it, even all of them. Okay, so this is where we put our callback function. Our callback will be coming from API auth callback / Google. Okay. Remember, let me show you in our auth. Where is it? Okay. See, you see callbacks. Okay. Then it's going to take up our Google. Yeah, it's going to take the Google as the provider. Okay. So you have to make sure that you set it like this. Okay. That's done. Let's create it. Okay. And now this is our client ID, right? And this is our client secret, our client. So this is the day that is created. This is our client ID. So I'm going to copy this client ID and I will be going to my, okay, our env folder, client ID. Okay, let's just paste it for now. And the client secret, this is the client secret, right? Take our client secret. We just paste it in here for now. And so we can say okay to this. Just check out is already enabled. Okay. So we have this set. Better access. Let's quickly get into this. See, is there anything we need to do here? Okay. Let's go to audience. Publishing status. Testing. Yeah. Okay, so since now that we have our client ID and secret and everything, other things seems to be set in our Google account, we are one step further into our application. So now it's time for us to create a Google Action file that we are going to use to, let me create that in the root of it, and I'll put it in an actions folder, and then Google login. Okay, I didn't put .js extension. Okay, so our Google login.js file is this. This is where we are going to create the functionality that makes our application to connect to Google and sign us in. So in our Google login.js file, we are importing signing from our auth page that we created earlier on in the root of the project. Okay. Trying to make a reference to this. Okay. And we are importing auth error from next-auth. We will be exporting an async function of Google Authenticate. So we throw in a try catch block into it. So whenever there is an error, we will catch the error below here. Otherwise, we want to await a sign-in and we pass in Google. This sign-in is now being utilized, okay? And we pass in Google. For instance, if we will be using GitHub or any other social media platform to log in, this is where we're going to declare it, okay, like GitHub. But of course, we would have configured it to use that particular social media from our auth and auth config earlier on. So we have it as Google, and if there is an error, we check for the instance of that auth error, and we return what that error is, which we are simply saying, okay, if there is instance of error of authentication issue, auth error, Google login failed. Otherwise, we don't even know what the error is per se. So give us the error that occurred. Okay, other than the instance of auth error that we have here. So if the error is coming from authentication issue, this is where we have it. Otherwise, we have a wider catch of error underneath here. This server action will now be called in our auth login page. Okay, our auth login page is yet to be created. So I'm coming here, and remember that we should be looking for auth login that is not existing. So let's quickly create auth login. So inside of our app, I want to create, this is a folder, and this is going to be another folder, and we put in our page, not pages, page.jsx. So this is now our RFCE, and should simply name it login. Okay, so this is our login page. So right now, we will have our login now is now existing. So let's import it as a constant variable. Okay, so Google login or Google Auth, depending. The file is yet to be created. We'll be importing it from, and we will be coming from, okay, components. By the way, we are yet to have component folder. We are going to create it and simply name it login. Google login. Let's name it Google login. Okay, this file is not existing, so the file is yet to exist. So if we import it right now, yeah, it's already shouting, right? Okay, so where do we create that? We create that in our components. The components should be outside of our components. Components. This is our components. It should not be created in server action. We'll put it in the root folder of the project. Yes, move it there. So inside of our component now, let's create Google login.jsx. This is going to be a JXS file. We are now creating a Google login JSX file, and inside of this, we'll be declaring it as a client side file, and we are now importing Google Authenticate. This Google Authenticate is coming from here. This is what we declared, remember? So we are now making use of this Google Authenticate from our actions folder, right? And now we are importing use action state. Our use action state is coming directly from React. And we are importing FC Google, okay, from React icons FC npm install. Let's restore React icons. I don't think we was installed. Okay, so while we install React icons that we need here, let me continue revealing the other part of the code. So we are exporting a constant variable of Google login, and here we are making use of our action state. Use action state hook is expecting two props. And the first one is Google Authenticate, and if it's undefined, we put this undefined. Our Google Authenticate is actually coming from here, like I said earlier. Okay. And okay, so we have this, we have that. And so our use action state is taking in these two props. We set them in, and we are assigning error message Google and dispatch Google, okay, to equal to our use action state. You see, coming from React. And immediately we find that all we have to do is to return what gets seen by the user on the UI. And here we come. If there is, then we display the message. Okay, whatever the message, error message is, we display it here, if there is any. Otherwise, we throw in this button, right? And we put in this text. So let's check what we have. Okay, module not found can resolve this. Okay, I think I guess what is happening. Our auth is in the root folder, not inside of auth file. It's not inside of auth folder, it's in the root folder. So this file is in the root folder. Okay, as a result, it's now picking it, but there is another problem. Prisma from Prisma. Import Prisma from Prisma. So let's get what is, okay, where the error is coming from. And it's coming from our auth config. Okay, let's go back to our auth config. So what I can do is come to my Prisma folder where we created schema.prisma. You see, this our model, right? We should have our Prisma client here. Actually, we declared that our provider, the generator client, is Prisma client JS. So this is where we should have the file. And the file name, it should be prisma.js. And this is how we can import the Prisma client from Prisma client. Okay. After solving that problem, there seems to be another problem. All right. Yes, we got to it. Okay. After creating our Prisma model, we did not Prisma generate it. We didn't run Prisma generate. Prisma generate is what will make our Prisma file or a schema here, okay, communicate to our database, this database. So in order for us to do that, we need to first stop the application. If the application is running, we will not be able to generate, to run it successfully. So we've stopped the application, then Prisma generate. Okay, Prisma generate. What's wrong with me? Generate. Okay. NPX Prisma generate. Let's wait. If there is it's successful in generating this, then we will run NPX Prisma DB. Okay. Yes, because we are running Prisma for the first time, it's going to install some dependency packages. Proceed. Yes. Yes, proceed. Okay, so the first time you run npx prisma generate, it will take long for the old files to be downloaded and installed. Okay, the subsequent ones will be fast. Okay, now that we have it installed, let's push the database so that everything is in sync. Okay, there seems to be an error here. Environment variable not found, database URL. Doesn't mean this error is very clear that environment variable is not found. This database URL. And since we are very sure that we have it here, it can then mean that, okay, Prisma is not reading, okay, from our env or .env.local file. Okay, Prisma will automatically read from .env file, not .local. So we have two ways of mitigating this, of solving the problem. Okay, two ways. Is either we rename this, okay, to .env, or we run a command that will make Prisma to communicate to our .env.local, which is simply to say .env -e, then we put the name of the env file, okay, then --npx prisma generate. Okay, let's try that. Okay, the term.env is not recognized as the name. Okay, for us to solve this, let's make our life easier. Let's make our life easier by simply duplicating this and renaming one to be .env. And I will keep the other one just in case I need to utilize it in whatever way. So now that we have this, let's try to regenerate our npx generate. The installation was done earlier on, so this time it will only try to generate the database. Okay, and it seems that everything has been done correctly, yes. Yeah, so it has successfully generated that. So let's then push our database so that our database will now be in sync, okay, with our, let's push. If it fails, then I will work on the identifier, but it should go in, yeah. So we are good to go. Now our application is in sync, okay, with our MongoDB database. So now let's confirm that. Where's our MongoDB database? Let's come here. Remember, we created this with only a test, right? With only a test collection. Let's refresh. Where do we refresh our databases? Refresh. Once it is refreshed, we are expecting to see our Prisma model connected. How do we know whether it's connected? We are going to see all of these collections. Okay. You see, our NextAuth V5, okay, is now having all of these. So now we can delete our test collection. It was just needed to make our database created successfully. Okay, so now we can communicate from our computer here to the application. Okay, we now have everything in sync. All right. So that after that is done, verification token expires, identifiers. Okay, so go here. Our auth, this is not going to be empty again. It's still empty. Yeah, I should know. It's no longer empty. Okay, but there is a problem of import. Refuse to connect. The site can't be reached. Oh yes, we need to respin up our application. Okay, it looks like it's ready. Now we have this. Okay, while we wait for it to be loaded, let's fix this Google login from our components, Google login. Then let's utilize it. Let's just utilize it here. Okay. With this, you see, we have our Google login. Not yet what we need. We should be able to tell login with Google. Login with Google. Okay. But in an ideal situation, we will have this. Let me simply give a class name to this of flex column. Okay. Justify center items, right? Item center. Okay, maybe minimum. Let me give a minimum height. Minimum height of 400 pixel. And let me give a margin. Let's say margin top of 10 pixel. 10 pixel. Oh, use go, right? Okay, let's first check. Okay, now, okay. You see, it's giving us access block authorization error. OAuth client was not found. Okay, we then need to check our. Let's check our client. Okay, the error was emanating from the way I declare the variable. NextAuth JS is expecting our OAuth client, okay, to have these variable names start with auth underscore Google underscore ID. If we are working with GitHub or any of the other social logins, the middle one would be the name, GitHub, Microsoft client, whatever. So here we say auth underscore Google underscore ID, everything in cap lock. And so for our client is the ID and the secret is the secret. Okay, so the client that we generated from our Google account is sent here, and the secret is used here. So we refresh our application. We should be able to access our application. Okay, you can now see that choose an account to log in, continue to log into NextAuth version 5. This is the name of our application. So let me pick this email address. You see, you are signing into NextAuth version 5 with this email. Okay, and so I say continue. Okay, moment of truth. Let's see what happened. Let's see what happened. Let's see what happened. Why? There is an error in our OAuth route, which is fine. We don't have any problem with client again. Oh, yes, I have seen. I have seen. This handler is not supposed to be here. We already declared the handler in the config. Okay, so notice where the errors are emanating from. Import of handlers at this. We already actually have our handler declared and exported in the auth file. Let's check back the auth file. You see, we have already destructured those, okay, and send from here. So instead of importing handlers, okay, simply let me just go there. We are looking for go to the app, go to the next, go to our routes. Okay, we can simply, so our gets and posts would then be exported rather from, it should rather be exported, maybe for reference sake. Let me leave the comments up there. So we'll be exporting this, okay, from art. Exporting like this. So export get post from @auth, and yes, this should do it because we are importing from here at the root. So we map to read. We map to read at using this @auth. Okay. Let's check. Let's refresh. This error should be gone definitely. Don't know whether another error will pop up. Okay, now so now we are being logged in to our application. We are successfully logged into home page. This is our home page. That home page in dashboard home, right? In this page. And we said is home page, dashboard home rather. Dashboard home. I can quickly do something here like give a height of screen. Let's assign a height of screen. Okay, justify center items, item center. And we want to flex, we want to flex the whole container. So this is it. We are here. Our application is being authenticated. You see, when we are successfully logged in, we were routed back to dashboard home. So now, if I should just copy and hold this in my keyboard, let me try to go back to our auth login. Let's see whether we are able to visit it. You see, we are rerouted, okay, back to this. Okay, we have not implemented login, logout facility, right? So, but I can come to my auth. Okay, this is what is authenticating the user. So from the developer, from the application, I can close it. Okay, clicking on that X will remove it. So our authentication is now removed. Now let's try to visit dashboard home as if we are still authenticated. Then this should take us back to our login page according to our middleware. That if somebody tries to visit his dashboard route, okay, and that person is not logged in, send back that person to auth login. Let them be told to log in instead. You see? So let's try it. You see, it has taken us to log in with Google. Remember that we are here to implement credentials, sign up, and login. We will have to implement credentials, sign up, where a user can log in with their preferred email, whatever address it is, and after that, then the user can be able to log in with credentials as well. So that interface will be created later. But for now, while we still don't have it, let's go back to our database and check on and see the account. Let's check on account. Okay, you see? So this user from Google has now been stored in the account with the user ID, OIDC and all that. And the verification token should be the verification token should be empty actually, because with social login, there's no need to verify your token. And the user, we must find a user here too. So when you authenticate, that is sign up or log in, I mean, when you log in, even when you log in, it takes it as sign up. It store your data into the database. Okay. So it will be stored against the user model and against the account model. For users that are using credentials to log in or to sign up rather, they won't have any user in the account. Let's quickly implement logout functionality. To implement our logout functionality, let's come to our components where we have our Google login. Let's create a file, Google logout JSX file. Okay, in this file, we are going to declare it as a client file. Okay, and we are importing sign out from NextAuth React. This we are just taking from the out of the box from our NextAuth. So the next thing is to export default function of logout. This logout is also that we declaring it, and inside of it we want to return a button. And what that button does is we utilize an on-click event, and we throw in an arrow function. So we call on sign out. That's the sign out that we imported from up here. Then that is a function that takes in this object of callback, and we set the URL to where we want the application to route to, which is the home page after a successful logout. Then we just tell the user so that the user can know what the button is for. We give it a background color of red. Okay. And we just throw in some few Tailwind CSS classes. And so after this is done, and how do we use it? Let's go back to our application, right? Let's go back to our application. This is our application. I want to put a button here that takes us to auth page, login page, right? Let me quickly implement that. This is our, and for that we are going to the home. Our home is in the page of the layout, the one that is in the root, you see? The one that is directly in the root of, sorry, not in the root, in the app folder, not in the dashboard or API. This is where we have this from Next link. Our link from Next link, then I will say login to take us there. However, it has already been imported, okay? And this one is expecting a params, okay, of href. Then where do we want to go? We want this to take us to auth/login. Okay, this one should successfully or take us to our login page successfully. Let me click on it. It has brought us there. So let's authenticate. Let's authenticate. Boom. Now we are in dashboard, you see? We are in dashboard. Dashboard home. Okay. Dashboard home. Let's say you are logged in to the patient. Log into the application. Okay. Okay, but right now we don't have a way to log in, to log out, except we disable the JWT token from the developer console, which is not what we want to do. So how do we implement the logouts, okay, that we did just now? This logouts, okay, component. We will go to our login component. No, not login. We will go to our very home page here. Okay, this is where we use it. I can simply import. The name is logouts. Okay, so we can see. Okay, it's a self-closing tag. Let React be the first thing to be imported. Otherwise, even when you don't put this, it will still work. In the new version of React and Next app, version 18 upward, we don't need to specifically import React. It's automatically work from out of the box. Okay, so now we have this logout. Let's see what it looks like in the interface. Okay, see what it looks like in the interface. That's good. If I want to give a bit of space, let me use non-breaking space, which is just one. Just to give it a bit of something's wrong. Okay, I didn't put the N, non-breaking space. Okay, so there is a gap now, you see. Okay, so we can then test our logout button to see. If we are successfully logged out, remember what will happen. We'll be routed back to the home page. Let's click and see. You see, this is the correct home page. And log in again. So we have successfully implemented login or sign up with Google. Next thing we need to do is to work on our sign up page and login page for credential users. So now let's walk through the final lap of our tutorial for this authentication and authorization tutorial. Okay, in the last part of the video, we implemented social login using a Gmail account. Okay, and so in order for us to finalize our credentials, registration, and login, all we needed to do, okay, is to come in and add more actions into our actions folder here. We only had Google login.js, which is this file. Okay, so we had login, and now I've added the sign up page. Okay, in the login, I am intentionally keeping the old file when all we had was just the Google button. Okay, so right now I am going to delete it. I'm going to completely remove it and show you what our new login page looks like. Basically, all that has changed here is a form. We implemented a form, okay, into that login route, login page. Okay, so we have this, and as it is, I am not going to be to cover nitty-gritty of how this form comes into being, because this tutorial is for authentication and authorization, so it's not a form design. Okay, otherwise you can look through the code, and I've imported use state and use transition from React that are needed here. I'm importing equally a use router from Next Navigation, link from Next Link, right? And I'm importing these two icons, FAI and FAI/ from React Icons FA, just for us to be able to toggle between hide and show button of our password in password feed. You are going to see it in action. Then we are importing our login from login actions. Okay, and this login is a newly created action, okay, that is going to, which is server action actually, which is going to be used to log in a user. okay, to authenticate a user into the database. Okay, and we are importing this Google login, and that Google login is coming from our component, right? So this Google login. So this our Google login button. Okay. Again, another change that I am making here is to just relocate this Google logout. I'm relocating this Google logout and I'm renaming it as logout. So simply sake, this is it. The only addition is I added a file logout. This is an icon from React Icons. And that file is being used here. Okay. So that has all the changes that has been made so far. Then the next new thing will be for me to show you the login JS and the login and the registered action. Okay, let's do it this way. Let's do it this way. Before we come to our action, okay, let's go back to our auth pages. Okay, let me equally show you the sign-in page or our sign-up page. Okay, so this is our sign-up page. Okay, what is happening here is we have declared state variables, okay, in order for us to be able to manage our form inputs. Okay, and when we have access to the form input, we use this function handle sign up, okay, to handle the form input. The first thing is to prevent the default action, right? Okay, of the form. And we are setting set loading, and we are instantiating our set message to nothing because there is nothing when there's no feedback yet until the user actually tries to submit or to register. And these are the data that we need for our registration. We need the email, the name, the password, and we are trying to confirm the password of the user as well, just for us to be able to validate, or for the user to validate and not make mistake in their input. Okay. That being said, if this registration is successful, we want to route the user to a login page. Otherwise, we catch the error. Okay. So, like I said, I don't want to dilly-dallying on form. Okay, as the tutorial is more of authentication and authorization. So, okay, so this is what we have. Okay, this is what we have in our sign up page. Okay, and by the way, it looks like we have already Google login. Okay, if anything breaks, we'll fix it. Okay, so let's continue. That's all on the form action, right? And by the way, let's check what our form looks like. Okay, something is breaking. Yes, because Google Logout have already deleted it and have it in our action. So all we need to do is check. Okay, from our home page, right? Dashboard home. Let's go to dashboard home. This is dashboard. This is home. This is it. Okay, so we no longer have it in the under component. Otherwise, we have it under actions. In actions folder. And by the way, the name has equally changed to logout. The name has changed to logout. Let's see whether okay, that broken part is fixed. Look at what our login now looks like. Okay, here we are simply okay, this is a login page. All we expect is the email and the password. Okay, and this button is to toggle between show and hide of password characters. Okay, And so if you are not, you already have an account, you just simply log in. If you don't have, you can click on sign up, where we are expecting name, email, and your password to match. Then you can sign up. Remember, we already tested our social login, so that one is cool. Another thing in this lesson is okay, let me go to login. The password forget facility and email verification. Those parts are not included in this tutorial. If you are interested in and you want me to do that tutorial, leave a comment in the comment sections, and I will take time to include that in another tutorial. Let's continue. So this is our interface. Cool. And so now let me explain on the actions. On our actions, we need the login. Okay, when a user is logging in, okay, we are taking two fields. We are interested in the email and the password. That is being destructured, okay, from validated data. And our validated data is here, okay? We're taking the validated data, remember our login schema that we created using Zod, okay? And that is used, okay? So we are using it to validate the data that the user has sent in. Once that is done, we check against our database. We check the email against the database to see whether that user, okay, is registered. If they are not registered, user not found. If they are registered, okay, we continue. Then we try to sign in this person with sign in that we imported from our auth file that was earlier created, and we pass in these values that we are telling our NextAuth version 5 package that we are now logging in or signing in using credentials. Okay, the other time we were logging in through Google, which is a social media, which is a social login, right? This time around, it say we specify that we are logging in through credentials. As a result, we then need to pass in our email, okay, pass in the password, and the email that we want to use now is the one that we have already validated that is existing in the database. Then, if that has been done, we sign in, okay? We sign in the user. If there is an error, okay, here is email confirmation required to log in. This part, I'm going to take care of it because we are not using email validation or verification in this particular tutorial. You see where we remove that in our auth code. Okay. So that's about the login. And on the part of the register, okay, on the part of the register, let me close it for more space. Okay, all the files that we have in the actions folder are all server actions except for these logouts. Yeah, except for the logout. Okay, so you can see it's a client, but it's connecting with a server action tool as well. Okay, so let me go back to register, right? So in our register, we are just looking for the same thing we have done. We are using register schema from our schema file created using Zod package. And we are validating the input that the user is sending, that they are registering with. Okay, so, and we have this. Here we are just simply changing the email to all lowercase in case a user has entered some characters in a uppercase letter. Okay, and the first thing, okay, we do is first to validate whether the user has already registered. If they have registered, you show that to such a user. Otherwise, if it's not registered, we then hash the password. Okay, and we are using bcrypt.js. We are just taking the hash model, okay, from bcrypt.js that was installed earlier in the lesson, and we hash it with NextAuth, making it the password to become stronger. And after that is done, okay, we construct a user variable and we await our user prisma. This is the model in our prisma, right? And we use this create method of it. We throw in the data. We register. We tell, and this user role is going to be user. This is the hashed password that we already hashed. We send it into the password field. Our email, we assign the email that the user sent through, that we have removed uppercase letters in case it was there, and we assign it to our email field. So this 4 fields, okay, would then be registered in our database. That's all. If the registration is successful, we show it to the user. Otherwise, we throw whatever possible error that has occurred. Okay. Now that I've said this, let me now show you where these actions, the login and the registered, are used in our form. In our form, we are going to, okay, auth route. Let's check on the login first. You see on the login, on our login actions is called, okay, this is where it is used. So our login is now used as a method here. So, okay. And we passing through this, we're passing through 2 arguments. Okay, so it's now using these 2 arguments, our email and the password. The same thing is happening on the, where is that? On the sign up. On the sign up, we are making use of registered. I can simply just call await. Okay, so register, this is our method, and we are throwing in the data. Okay, remember that okay, so this is an object now. The data is an object. If I take you back to our actions, register action, let's go check it out. You see, it's an object. So that is this is the code. Okay, this is all that will make our application work with credentials. Say test, okay, test 1. Okay, so the email is test1@gmail.com and our password is test1231. In case we want to see this, you see, this is our password for this user. You know, it's very strong, right? Okay, so let's try to, oh, by the way, okay, yeah, it's even good. It's good for a test. You see, we were trying to log in using the credentials that of a user that is. So let's do this instead. We want to sign. Okay, so we can confirm that our password are correct. Oh, this is teeth. Okay, it's even good. Let's try it. That there is a mistake. You see, password is mismatching. Cool. Let's correct it. Now we have this. We are signing in. Okay, signing is successful, and we are redirected to a login page now. Okay, test 1. Okay, see, let's intentionally make it not to be correct password and see what happens. Invalid credentials, right? It's cool. Okay, then let's go for the correct password. Okay, now this is cool. It's telling us that email confirmation is required to log in. Beautiful. This is because our auth file is actually implemented in a way to only allow a verified email account owner to log in. So, but because I am not implementing that in this lesson, let's just remove that as that part. So you can go back to the your root folder, look for the auth.js file under callbacks, okay, and from the signing, you see, from the async signing, that's all you need to change here. You simply come to if existing user is not verified. This is it. This is the code. So we simply remove that. So we are only checking if the user exists now. Okay. So after that is done, this user should be able to log in. Let's see. Okay. So you now see. You see. So we have successfully authenticated this user. Okay. The route is dashboard home. And we are equally implementing our logout button here. And once I click on logout, let's see what happened. We are taken back to the home page. To access our auth page, our login page, while we are logging, you see, the application is redirecting us to home. And let me click or copy this URL and sign out or log out and try to visit an authenticated route. You see, it's taking us back to where we can log in. So with this, we have successfully completed this lesson on NextAuth version 5 authentication and authorization tutorial. Don't forget to like, share, and to subscribe. You will always get notified whenever we drop a new tutorial such as this. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.